Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to 5 Minutes of Torah with the Beth Israel Rabbi. This is a special edition of 5 Minutes of Torah. As you can see, I'm here with Meryl Ainsman, who is the board chair of the Jewish Federation of Pittsburgh. My family and I have been on holiday for the last couple of weeks. First, we were in Orlando, where Avishai, our oldest son, was at USY International Convention, and the rest of the family was enjoying ourselves with some of the fun things to do in Orlando. And then we've come here to Pittsburgh to spend time with our family. This is an important time here in Pittsburgh in the last couple months after the tragedy that occurred on October 27th. And it's important for us to continue to remember and to think about that tragedy and the attack that occurred, and Meryl's going to speak about it in just a couple minutes. This past Shabbat, we read the very beginning of the book of Shemot, the very beginning of the book of Exodus. And near the very beginning of the Parsha, the Torah tells us, Vaykom melech hadash al Mitzrayim asher lo yada et Yosef, that a new king, a new Pharaoh rose over the land of Egypt who did not know Joseph. The rabbis debate exactly what this means. Does it mean that there was exactly a new king, that there was a new Pharaoh, or was it a Pharaoh, the same king, who simply acted as if he did not know Joseph? Either way, what really matters is that the lo yada here, the did not know, really could be understood as did not remember. Did not remember all that Joseph had done for him, did not remember all that Joseph had done for Egypt. And that was the problem. This coming Shabbat, we read Parshat Ve'era, the second Parsha in the book of Exodus. And in this Torah portion, we read of the hardening of Pharaoh's heart. We read of the 7 of 10 plagues. And near the end of the Parsha, we are told that God says to Moses that I am doing this so that you will remember who I am, so that you will be able to create a relationship with me, not only you, but all of the Israelites, not only now, but for time to come. And thus, from these parshiot, begins an important lesson, a salient theme of the Jewish people that continues throughout all of Jewish history, and that is specifically history itself. We, as a Jewish people, must remember what happened to us, not only in the past, not only for the sake of the past, but for the sake of today and for tomorrow. And thus I'm going to ask Meryl to share with us a little bit about what has happened here in Pittsburgh over the course of the last couple months after October 27th, that terrible day of the attack, to share with us how the community has come together, what Federation has done, and what that has meant not only in terms of history, but what that means for us today and for the future.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much for asking me to participate in your Divrei Torah. It's an honor to be able to speak with you. It's interesting when you ask about memory and the past and the future. I think for myself and virtually everyone I know in Pittsburgh, there will always be a before and an after October 27th. Our lives changed drastically on that morning. Sitting in this house, hearing the news, and everything that occurred after. But one of the things that has been so wonderful, and it's hard to say anything is wonderful about a terrible tragedy because it was a horrible, horrible, horrible day, is the way the community, not just the Jewish community, but our entire Pittsburgh community, our world community has come together. The outpouring of love, the outpouring of support that we've gotten from everywhere has been amazing and been incredibly supporting to us in these very difficult times. The community itself, we've been dealing with this on a macro and on a micro level. The micro, of course, is everybody individually feeling their own pain, whether you're a family member of one of the deceased or one of the injured, or you knew someone. One of the things about Pittsburgh, and particularly Squirrel Hill, is everyone knows everyone. And I dare say that there is virtually no one I know that wasn't touched personally in some way or another. So you have your own personal pain, and then you have your communal pain. And it's really been beautiful. The territoriality that sometimes occurs in Jewish communities has diminished. It's just not there. Everybody is there to help and to support each other. And it's been, the outpouring of love and support has really been helpful. Doesn't mean there's not a lot of healing to do. We're doing it all the time. We do it as a community. We do it individually. The Federation is providing support services for counseling, for help. We are working with our agencies to do what we can to help the constituents of each of those individual agencies, whether they be the day schools or the senior centers. Because, as I said, everybody has been affected by this in one way or another.
And how about the non-Jewish community?
The non-Jewish community, that's been the most overwhelming. We had a vigil within 27 hours of the incident, and, excuse me, I'm not going to call it an incident, of the massacre. And one of the speakers was the head of the Islamic Center here in Pittsburgh. We had another speaker who was from an African-American church. At one point during the vigil, all of the clergy in the room, and there were about 3,000 people in the room, it was a huge auditorium, they invited all of the clergy up to the stage, and there were about 75 people that came up, and most of them were not Jewish. But I think our community, the greater Pittsburgh community, realized that this happened to Jews praying in a synagogue, but it could have happened to any one of them. When there's hate, and hate knows no boundaries. So therefore now we have to figure out that love knows no boundaries either. And that's sort of what I'm focusing on at this point.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.